Do 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 Ah, nice fresh glass of water. Oh, I see we have Merlot flavored water in the chat. That's a good choice. I approve. Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Don't have a specific topic to tackle this time. If I did, I would have put it in the title of the live stream, but I don't. So it's whatever comes up. It is to water. That is my story, and I'm sticking to it, and you can't prove otherwise. Unless you're hiding in my house and secretly sipping my water, in which case all that would do is confirm that it is in fact water. Did I get new glasses? I did. I had new glasses frames come in yesterday, I think. I bought these. So I bought these actually in a little bit of potentially silly optimism, because I wanted them to match one of the outfits I'm planning to wear at Gallifrey 1 next month, assuming it still happens. We will see. So many folks here. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Oh, Michael Anderson Doyle. Thank you so much for the membership. Dharma the Robot Girl celebrating their 3-month anniversary. All hail Queen Nathaniel. Salute. Thank you. Always happy to have you here. Much appreciated. How are things? Things are okay. I'm actually slightly ahead of my workload. I just need to stay there because, as I mentioned, if Gallifrey 1 does in fact happen, then I need to not be behind work so that I can do that. Oh, hey, Meg. I'm glad you made it. The lighting. Yeah, I probably could have fiddled it with more so it wasn't quite as dark and moody, although people seem to like it okay. But it was all blown out, and I adjusted that and I fixed that, and I'm like, well, heck, I'm running late. We'll just go with it. As soon as I sorted that out. Just watched my first Bollywood movie, and it was really good. In case you're curious, it's called Baghi. Interesting. I haven't heard of that one. Well, I say that as if I know Indian film very well. I don't. I've really still only seen the one I was commissioned for several years ago, which was Bahubali, which was great. It's nuts, and I liked it quite a bit. But I can't pretend I know much about the industry or the genres or what have you, because Bollywood is not a genre. Bollywood is simply indicating where a film was made. Is this a different room? Why the change? No, same room. It's my office. It's where I've been doing. Like, the only thing that's changed is months ago I was doing it from over there. That was back when I still was using the laptop. I was set up in front of my usual shooting space. But now that I have gotten a new desktop that isn't mobile, and I can't move the whole friggin' thing over there, and if I want to be able to see the chat and have the webcam and everything, I now do it from the desk. I've been doing it from here for a couple of months now, so I don't know if you've missed a lot, or if it just looks different because of how dark it is. Fingers crossed for Gallifrey 1. Yes, we'll see. Curious, in preparation for the Easter special, are you going to watch the John Pertwee story, The Sea Devils? Funny, that actually occurred to me earlier today, thinking, ooh, I should do that. It would actually be a rewatch, because while I haven't done a review on that one because it's been so long since I've seen it, I have seen the Sea Devils before. It's actually one of my preferred Third Doctor stories, at least by memory. As I said, it's been a while, so I do need to rewatch that. I should try and do that before that happens. I got my Cos Daddy replica of the 12th Doctor's linen coat. It rocks. Oh, it does, doesn't it? Cos Daddy was also where I got my coat that I used for 12th Doctor. It's nice. I love it. Love the earrings. Thank you. Thank you. I enjoy these. Nice and sparkly. I don't think you've learned your lesson. I'm trying to use a green. I don't think I learned your lesson. I'm trying to use a green screen in a video. Well, assuming you're not suffering from my degree of ADHD, hopefully you will take the time to look up how to adjust and fine-tune it, because the reason my early green screen sucked so hard was I didn't really properly know how to use the software, and I didn't realize all the adjustments that you could make. So, like, whenever I tried to make adjustments to have it look better, I was just changing my lighting when I shot it, as opposed to fiddling with the settings in the damn editing software, because I was a moron. So that's why the last time I did green screen, which was the 90s comics retrial for Death of Superman, that one, the green screen, while it's still very obviously green screen, doesn't look terrible, because I figured out how to actually do it properly. Still pain in the butt to work with. Listen to the 2002 Tick Tick Boom soundtrack. My main takeaway, damn, Dr. Chilton is a good singer. Oh, is he on that? Who is he singing? What part is he singing for that? I have a Captain Jack coat from Abby Shot. Ooh. The priority of getting Jack Harkness cosplay has gone down the list a bit. I think Missy's still my top priority, but still, even now, I wouldn't mind a Captain Jack coat. According to Ben, I'm the watering police. I would say you're more like the watering neighborhood watch. You carry no actual authority. You just keep reporting stuff left and right as if it will actually change anything. If I were to do a modern cosplay, it'd be Osgood. Oh, that'd be adorable, Carowin. Make your own decision on whether or not you're comfortable, but I support it. Mr. Will Guitar, thank you so much for the super chat. You get a heart. Thank you for all your reviews and work. Always insightful and interesting. Much appreciated. Many, many thanks. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do my best. It continues to be oddly surprising to me that people still stick around for me just cranking out this nonsense. So since you've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, do you have any questions? Because I did it, but tons of research into it, so I can hopefully answer any questions. I mean, most of my questions I'm hoping will get addressed within the story itself, so I'm going to say no. I have had some people watching me on stream who had obviously played the original more recent, so there were times I'm like, I don't remember this, and they'd be like, no, that was in the original. I'd be like, oh, okay, sorry. I have started getting better about looking that up. The point I'm at in the game, Scarlet just showed up, and I was like, I think I remember her, and I look at her, I'm like, oh, right. Once I saw her polygon, her old massive blocky polygon version, I'm like, oh, right, her. Because in the remake, she is so mommy dom. It's ridiculous. And that never came across strongly enough with the boxy chunky pixels and no voice. So, sometimes I don't always connect the dots. Raul Espenza played Jonathan. Okay. I have the Cos Daddy John Sim Master Coat from the Dr. Falls. That's also a good coat. That's on my wish list. Is Batman 2 hours and 55 minutes too long? I cannot say that definitively until I have seen the film, because I do have to be prepared for the possibility that the story it's telling and the way that it's telling it does justify that runtime. That having been said, my gut instinct is yes, that is too damn long. Apparently, the rough cut was 4 hours, which in and of itself is not super uncommon. Rough cuts are always longer, but there's reports coming out that Warner Brothers was seriously considering releasing it as a 4-hour cut, and just like here's the thing with a movie that long, especially when it's something that the world in general knows already. Like, it's an established thing like Batman. People get the core of Batman, so there's actually a bunch of stuff that you don't have to explain. Like, you don't have to cover a ton of the nuts and bolts. I mean, it could, but like that would almost feel like a waste of time. So like when you tell me there's a Batman movie that's almost 3 hours long, my gut instinct to that is, okay, they either made 2 movies and crammed it into one, or they made what should have been a season's worth of television and crammed it into a movie. And neither of those possibilities is very appealing to me. Again, it's not impossible. Long movies can work, but I just miss the days when 90 to 100 minutes was the standard and 2 hours was considered a long or long-ish movie. Whereas opposed to now, where like almost nothing is under 2 hours anymore. And I kind of miss the tightness. I like things tight. I don't need everything to be tight. I can have fun with something that's a little looser. Or even quite a bit looser, that if it is presented well. But I'm just saying, we don't have a lot of tightness right now. Bet you would look so beautiful dressed up like Missy. Aw, thank you, Knit and Crochet Tiger. I do want to get a Missy cosplay pulled together at some point. You wouldn't believe who's rumored to be the 14th Doctor. I know who's rumored to be the 14th. I'm really sick of hearing that brought up. My friend and I had a stressful day, so to relax, we watched Ms. Mojo videos of Glee while consuming junk food and soft drinks and making snarky comments. I mean, however you unwind. Have I watched the new season of Cobra Kai? Nope. I have... I don't have a lot of motivation. I didn't love season 3 when I watched it, and as time went on, I was like, I really didn't like season 3. That doesn't automatically mean season 4 will be bad. It just kind of killed my motivation to barrel through it when I've got other stuff I could be doing. I'm kind of and like also that's the show that Liz and I watched together. So and like I'm kind of prioritizing getting her to watch Arcane over us doing Cobra Kai. First, we have to finish up the 6th season of Legends of Tomorrow, which we're almost done with. I think we're down to the last 3 episodes or so. That show's so stupid. I love it. It's so dumb. My success depends on not having ADHD, for sake. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't be successful with ADHD. I'm just saying it's something you're going to be working around for ever. Am I a fan of ARGs? No, I am super not. Have never been. Like, I remember when ARGs were used as promotional material, like way back when the freaking Dark Knight came out, and I was bored by the idea then. Like, people had to, like, all these people online, like, went around to find, like, snapshot these things that were in the real world and, like, put all these bits of data together to put together a promotional image. I think it was the Joker. I can't remember. I remember thinking, like, I looked up the results on what people went through to get it done, and I'm like, oh, well, it's impressive that they did it. I never want to participate in that. And, like, I know that's not exactly what ARGs are anymore, but, like, the entire concept of them, like, no interest. Zero. None. If Tennant is the next Doctor, what were your thoughts beyond that? See, I notice you're wording that very carefully because I've gone on record multiple places saying I have no opinion until it's confirmed. And so you're wording your question as, well, if it was confirmed, then what would your opinion be? Sneaky, nice try, not answering it. Look, it would be a bad idea. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Let's dig into this a little bit. The idea of bringing back David Tennant to play the Doctor again is a bad idea. It is a fundamentally bad idea. And before anyone shows up in the comments telling me, oh, well, the curator said he could revisit old faces. Like, I know that. It's not a question of they can't do it because of X, Y, Z. It's all made up. They can come up with a narrative justification for why they should do it. That doesn't make it a good idea. And the other thing I've seen people go like, oh, well, he's not going to be playing the 10th Doctor again. It's going to be David Tennant reinterpreting the Doctor, so it'll be a different Doctor, not just doing his old version. Like, yeah, sounds good. Still a bad idea. This kind of cyclical, recursive, masturbatory nonsense. I'm knocking stuff over. This is what I dread for Doctor Who. This is the exact reason why I don't want Russell T Davies to spend any time retconning the Timeless Child as much as I hate it, because stop looking back, move forward. And I don't care if he'd be playing a different version of the Doctor. Casting Tennant to play the Doctor again is a retrograde move. It is looking back instead of trying to progress. And whatever you feel about Chibnall's time, and I have not liked most of it, he did try and move things forward. Did it work? No, but it is healthier for this show and for its future to find a way to move forward than to start looking back and just jerking off its own friggin' continuity. It's fan service wankery. The whole idea be a terrible notion. And I've seen a million things like, oh, well, you'd only do one series. Oh, it would just be a couple of specials. And then it would be something. It's a bad idea. I don't care how you package it. I don't care what you wrap it in. Fundamentally, it is a bad idea, and it is unhealthy for the state of the franchise. Don't do it. And don't tell me any reasons why you think I should be more optimistic about the idea. I'm not. It is the kind of thing I dread Doctor Who doing. And I have for a long time. Nosferatu turns 100. Just shift tone. Nosferatu turns 100 in March. Have I seen Shadow of the Vampire? I have. I remember wishing I liked it more than I did. I think if Davis comes back, it will just damage the show. I don't see... oh, no, David. Oh, so you are talking David Tennant. For some reason, my brain read that as Davies as in Russell T. Okay, that's fine. Spank is not a naughty word, Ms. Wicked Wolf. It's a word like any other. The action can be naughty, or it can at least be applied to people who have been. Just saying. Just to sway you towards Cobra Kai, they fully explain Terry Silver's actions in The Karate Kid 3, and it makes so much sense. I don't want his actions explained. He was a shit character. I didn't like... Why? Why do you think it's a selling point that they justify the existence of a character I don't like? It feels like the whole friggin' Jar Jar Binks Sith Lord thing. It's like, even if any of that was true, it wouldn't make me suddenly like the character. I don't like him. I'm very exasperated this stream. Hope people are getting entertainment out of that. Hope it's just a cameo on the 60th. Oh, I fully expect him to show up in the 60th. That I don't doubt and would not have a problem with. I'm fine with multi-Doctor stories. But, like, that's not what people are talking about. My opinion on Marvel What If is not Marvel What If, it's MCU What If, which in my opinion severely limits their creativity and weirdness that What If stories are known for. Well, I mean, like, it was going to have to be MCU What If because that's what people know. Because if you did a like what ifing off of the comics, then there's your whole chunk of your audience isn't even going to know what you're riffing off of. So, like, I will absolutely grant you that it was far more restrained and far less bizarre than I would have liked for What If to be. But, like, it was always going to be MCU What If. That's what's there. that's what it was always going to be. Strum Dynasty, you had sent a super chat earlier. When do I think we'll know the next Doctor? If I were to guess, between the airings of the upcoming special for Easter and whenever the next special after that is. That would be my guess. Assuming they can keep a lid on it. That's always the issue, is avoiding leaks. And Jack Jordan, thank you very much for the super chat. How could the Doctor be portrayed if they were trans? See, the interesting thing about the Doctor is it would be an odd thing to do the Doctor as a trans character, simply because there's already the potential for just using regeneration as a trans allegory in and of itself. And there's still a lot of nebulousness over how much the Doctor does or doesn't control the body that they get. So the idea of a Doctor being trans leans into the idea that there is virtually no control, which isn't contradicting canon, really. But I don't know, something about that would feel odd. What I would like to see a non-binary Doctor who's just referred to as they, and that's it. Like, not a big deal made out of it. That would kind of be, I personally would actually prefer that to seeing them trying to do an actual trans narrative with the Doctor. Partially because I don't know if I trust the show to do it well. Given the current topic, you might as well check the Discord now. Oh, okay. So I guess I'm checking the Discord early. Feel free to decide if this is too potentially spoilery, but the David Tennant coming back as the 14th Doctor rumors flying right now. There's nothing to indicate we should be taking those seriously, is there? Honestly, as much as I love David Tennant, I hope they don't go there. No, there is absolutely nothing to indicate. There are people who are claiming, oh, the leak source has been right about other stuff, without actually providing information as to who the leak source is, or, you know, it's a game of telephone. Like, it could be anything from he is going to appear in the 60th anniversary, and that has been twisted by, you know, it by being leaked in a slightly off form. It could be that, or it could just have been pulled out of the ether from fans who saw that Russell T Davies was coming back, and they're like, ooh, maybe Tennant. And then they start talking about it as if it actually will, because the conversation can shift from, oh, well, maybe this would maybe this would happen, to, wouldn't it be cool if this happened, to, I bet this will happen, to, this is happening. Like, it's a standard, like, self-creating rumor mill progression. Following on from the above question, I'm right now I'm dealing with questions on the Discord, so I'll be back in the main chat in a minute. Discord is a perk to the Council of Geeks Patreon page, so you can support me there and get access to the Discord, just saying. If, God forbid, someone made the stupid decision to bring back a previous actor for a different regeneration, who would you rather they chose, i.e., who do you think could best distance themselves from their original run rather than retreading old ground? See, the thing is, you're basically asking me to say who the actor with the biggest range is, and I don't know if I have an answer for that. because honestly, based off what I've seen, it might be Jodie Whittaker, but obviously that's not going to happen because she's the outgoing. So logistically, that wouldn't make sense for the purposes of your question. I don't know. Like, it's not an uninteresting question, but it's also unfortunately the kind of what if scenario that, like, my head is just really bad at processing. It's the same reason I'm bad at fan casting. Like, I can't get my head into the space where the question makes anything more than just logistical sense to me. Like, I understand what you're asking, but my brain doesn't work that way. I'd say McGann purely for the reason that fewer people will have seen his contributions. Well, that's like, that means that it's avoiding retreading old ground only for anyone who doesn't listen to Big Finish. I mean, he's effectively been playing the Doctor continuously for almost 20 years in audio form. So, I don't know. Man, this really did become the topic of the Discord. Since Tennant being cast as the next Doctor is unlikely and a bad idea, thank you. What would you think of him reprising his role as 10 throughout a future season, i.e., not just for an anniversary special for some timey-wimey shenanigans alongside whichever new Doctor we get or any other previous Doctors? No, I do not think any Doctor, especially a fan favorite like Tennant, should be brought back on anything other than a one-off basis. Weaving him throughout a future season is just going to beg the comparison to whoever the current Doctor is and ignite all the more divides about why won't you just give us another series with Tennant if you're going to have more. The one exception I'll make is, I'm shocked this has not happened already. I would be okay if they wanted to bring in the Metacrisis Doctor that is living with Rose in the parallel dimension. Now, when I say bring in, I don't mean take over the role of the Doctor. I don't mean that at all. But I mean, given that he is human, that he has been earthbound, and that it is now, oh God, like 15 years later or whatever, seeing how he's changed, seeing how he's different. See, it's funny. The reason I say it's funny that this hasn't happened yet is I had kind of made the assumption that half the reason to even create that situation where there was a completely separate Doctor who it's established firmly would age would be able to bring David Tennant back at a later date and not worry about having to cover for the fact that he is visibly older. Which is an issue that wasn't so much of a problem in multi-Doctor stories back in the classic era because the definition was so low. But these days, it shows. You can tell. Honestly, you could kind of tell in The Day of the Doctor. He looked older. And again, that's not like he's aging quite well, but I always kind of assumed that was the point of creating the Metacrisis Doctor, to be able to do that. And they still haven't. So I'd be up for that. I don't want it to dominate like a season-long story, but if, I don't know, for a finale or a one-off or a special, if they wanted to touch on that, that's probably what I'd be most okay with in terms of the idea of bringing him back for anything other than like the 60th anniversary. Thoughts on the Scream movies? Also, I highly recommend watching Cobra Kai for Terry. Dude's terrifying. I have only seen the first 3 Scream movies. I haven't seen Scream 4. I haven't seen the newest one. The first one was really clever when it came out. Spawned a legion of imitators, including its own damn sequels. I've heard that Scream 4 is decent. I've heard the latest Scream is actually quite good, but I haven't seen them. So with those first 3, they got a little bit worse with each entry. Okay, I am now going to pop over to the chat again. Cool. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I'm sure there is a ton of conversation I have missed in the interim, so apologies for that. I'm not going to try and catch up. I'm just going to pick up with where the chat is right now. Hearing all of this, here's an odd question. When do you think fan service is done well in anything in general? I think generally fan service is best done in a minimal context. For me, the best kind of fan service is something that fans will spot, but people who don't recognize the significance of it to the history, and don't have the fandom response to it, it won't be made obvious to them that they're missing something. It's something where the knowledge of like, ooh, I know what that is and like what it means and where it might be going is a pop for those who recognize it. But the trick is presenting it in a way that doesn't leave people who don't recognize it going, well, clearly you're referencing something I don't know, so now I'm lost. It's a fine balance to make, and I always encourage a light touch on these things. That is generally what I think is the best way to handle fan service. Exams have been exhausting. I wanted to say hi, but I should get going. Great to see you, Vera. You look amazing as ever. Thank you, Cora. Question in Final Fantasy VII Remake. How far have you gotten, have climbed up the stairs? I have not climbed the stairs yet. No, we only just blew up the second Mako reactor. And Cloud is currently with Aerith. We have not rejoined the rest of the group yet. That's where I'm at with that. They're filming Secret Invasion in my town right now. You're a Skrull, aren't you? The actress who plays Tori in Cobra Kai is the lead in a slasher film called Eileen Wuornos' American Boogie Woman. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, wait. Is that from that same freaking guy? Hang on a second. There's this guy who's like made a niche for himself, directing these terrible, weird alternate takes on real life. Yeah, it's him. Daniel Ferrans. Ugh. Oh, dude's gross. I don't know what he's like as a human being, but his movie projects from the last couple years, they are fundamentally disgusting to me. He did one on Sharon Tate, one on Nicole Brown Simpson, and now Ted Bundy and Eileen Wuornos. I don't know who's giving that guy money. They need to stop. He does these weird alternate history versions of real life killers with no respect for the actual people and victims involved. It's gross. What he does creatively is gross. Have I played Never Have I Ever? Yeah, I went to college. I don't want them to do this, but I would kind of respect if they announced David Tennant as the new Doctor, but didn't make new episodes, just aired his old ones. I wouldn't even respect that, because that's just jerking people around. I have no respect for that. I have zero respect for that on principle. First Scream movie is based on a murder that happened in northern Louisiana. I did not know that. Huh. Or if I did know that, I don't know. That's tickling like a little bit of familiarity. Familiarity in the back of my head. So maybe I did know that. I don't know. It's funny, with one misclick, you can be talking about Peter Davison, but accidentally type Pete Davison. Yeah, no, that's a harsh turn right there. Captain Omni, thank you so much. A heart for you for the super chat. Matter Eater Lag can bite through anything and eat anything. He's my favorite lethal joke character. What's your favorite? I don't know. I will say this: the Matter Eater Lad references in Peacemaker were very funny, and I did enjoy those. Both references to both his power, that it's kind of terrifying, the absurdity of it, and also the silliness of the name. Like, they covered a lot of ground in just a few bits of dialogue. I enjoyed that a lot. Lethal joke characters. I don't know. I have to think about that. How? I don't. Oh, geez. That's a great question that I wish I had an answer to. If I think of an answer, um, I will tell you. I don't. I can't promise I will though. Still not clear what's wrong with what he does. Okay. Well. Okay. So. Black cover without getting into like super because I don't want to give this freaking guy oxygen. It's not even that he alters details of actual murders to turn them into something that better resembles a standard Hollywood script, which also isn't great, but like that's not what he does. He does these full conspiratorial twistings and absolutely disrespects people both alive and dead, with no regard for the actual history of what happened, often introducing just absolute nonsense elements, including like supernatural elements to people who are dead, who are really dead. And it's gross. It's really gross. Do I think the Riddler becoming an edgy Nolan-esque villain in Batman is a bad move? He's not even Nolan-esque. He's Fincher-esque. He's freaking John Doe from Seven. Yes, I think it's a bad move. I don't like it. So I kind of stopped watching MCU movies after Infinity War because the film after it was Captain Marvel, and I don't much care for Captain Marvel. So how important is CM? Can I skip it? As a film, yes, you can. I mean, understand Captain Marvel is going to show up when you get to Endgame. But, like, if you know who she is, you don't need to have known the specifics of what happened in her movie. So, yeah, if you wanted to skip it, you can skip it. And the movies that follow will make sense. It's possible that things like Secret Invasion coming up on Disney Plus, that might not make sense. Because a lot of Skrull stuff goes on in the Captain Marvel movie. But we won't know till that comes out. Daniel Franz made 2 good movies. They were in-depth documentaries on the Elm Street and Friday the 13th franchises. Well, like, if he was just doing documentaries on the creation of those, there was less wiggle room for him to just be gross. Just watch the new season of American Horror Story. I forget they still have new seasons coming out on that. Not gonna lie, the first half is my new favorite season. They do a double feature. Interesting. Strum Dynasty, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. My ideal age for Doctor Actor, old, young, I have no ideal age. For me, it comes down to performance. And the reason I don't have an ideal age is because prior to Matt Smith's casting, when it was known David Tennant was leaving, I desperately wanted an older Doctor. And then Matt Smith showed up and absolutely blew me away, and I loved him. And that kind of shattered my preconceived notions about what a new Doctor would bring versus what an old Doctor would bring. It really is going to come down to the performance, and I don't think that the physical age of the actor is really all that key to how I take in performances. That said, they should never cast a kid or a teenager. And that's just because, like, the vibe would be very, very off going that young. Like, having somebody that young running around and, getting into space laser battles, it is a very different vibe fundamentally from, an adult, even a young adult. John Vinyls, thank you so much for the super chat. Imagine if someone did a really good film adaptation of the story of Osiris and Isis. I used to know that story better than I currently do. I worry that at this point it's formed into a bit of a mush of Egyptian mythology that I have not parsed in a long time. On the topic of Jokers, do you think we will get a live-action New 52 Joker like the Gotham TV show. Well, okay, so it depends on what you mean by New 52 Joker. Because Jerome, who is probably who you're referencing, he gave visual reference to the New 52 Joker. But he was not... I don't like the New 52 Joker very much. I don't like a lot of the core conceptions behind him, nor do I particularly care for how excessively, cruelly, nihilistically, gorily vicious he was. It felt like it was all done for shock factor. But I do like Jerome on Gotham. So I don't feel that Jerome from Gotham is the New 52 Joker in terms of overall personality. Certainly not in terms of some of the very stupid specifics they chose to do with the joke. Whoever's idea it was to make the Joker effectively immortal and give him a healing factor, and I don't know if that ever eventually got rolled back, but I know it was the case for a while, they are very, 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 very stupid and should not have been allowed to have that kind of creative input. That was a very stupid idea. Because part of not the only, but part of the reason that the Joker is the ideal villain for Batman is that Batman, when done right, represents the best that a human being can be. The best physical condition, the best mental acuity, the most sharp, the putting the most of himself into making the world a better place as he possibly can. That is the best of what humanity, without superpowers, can attain. And a proper inverse of that, being the Joker, is that he is the worst that humanity can be. He is the horrible, nihilistic, just finds joy in the sickest things, in things that no one should find funny. That's where his joy comes from. This is the darkest side of humanity, but he needs to be human. He needs to not have superpowers, because that makes him a proper inverse of Batman in that way. And the instant you give him any kind of superpower, you have diminished and lost that aspect of him. And to what freaking end? Well, we gotta explain how he lives through all this stuff. It's comic books. People live through blatantly unsurvivable things all the time without having superpowers. Stop it. On the top, I read that. Scroll down. Which you prefer, Dumbo or Bambi? I don't know. Haven't rewatched either in a long time. Don't really want to. There's going to be an Aristocats live-action remake. What are your thoughts? Waste of time, waste of money, won't see it. Never mind David Tennant as the 14th Doctor, David Tennant as the Riddler. I remember that being a bit of fan casting after Dark Knight. I remember seeing fan-made mock-up posters with him as the Riddler. So, that's not even a new idea. Thoughts on the Flash movie erasing the entire DCEU? Personally, I like the idea, but WB just making random things that are loosely connected with only a few bits of dialogue. See, we don't really know if that's what it's doing. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit more of a messy multiverse situation. Basically, establishing don't worry about continuity. If something doesn't fit, it's an alternate version, as opposed to actively erasing what came before, which honestly, at this point, especially given the opinions of Snyder's Justice League and whatnot, I also think would be kind of a dick move. If you want to establish that the primary continuity we're going to follow going forward isn't that one, that's one thing. But actually erasing it, pulling Crisis on Infinite Earths and wiping it out, would just kind of be a dick move. Let people who like it think, oh, well, they're going to continue off in their own thing and have their own adventures. We won't see them anymore, and that bums me out, but at least they're still around. Goodwill. There's no reason not to do that. How do I feel about Joe Martin as 14? Do it. Do it. Do it. Did a whole video on why they should do it. Do it. Captain Omni, once again, thank you for the super chat. Ignore Captain Marvel, embrace Shazam. Ha 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 ha! He's the original Captain Marvel, has deeper mythos and ton more villains, such as the Monster Society of Evil. I keep forgetting that Shazam's getting a sequel. That movie was that movie was fine and fun. I enjoyed it. But it didn't blow me away. I know I have some friends who really, really, really liked it though. But yes, Shazam was the original Captain Marvel. That's copyright nonsense for you. Like the whole thing with Shazam is weird because he was created by Charlton Comics, actually became more popular than Superman. Charlton Comics was taken to court by DC for decades, basically until Charlton started losing money and their comics weren't profitable anymore, and they just gave up fighting the copyright issues from DC, claiming that who was known at the time, Captain Marvel, was just a ripoff of Superman, which, like, the gimmick's different, but they're not completely wrong about that, at least conceptually. So, you know, and then DC ends up owning Captain Marvel, but then the rights to the name specifically lapse, so Marvel snaps it up, and then for a long time, like, he was still called Captain Marvel at DC, but they just couldn't put that on the covers. On the covers, it had to be the power of Shazam, and eventually they just gave up even having the dual thing and just called the character Shazam. Like, it's been a weird trip with all that. What classic Who serials would you turn into a movie like the Cushing movies? My pick would be the Third Doctor one, Let the Man Go Full Bond. Again, it's not something that I've ever considered, and I'm not sure I can get. I'm not sure I can get my head wrapped around the idea well enough to actually have an answer. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I mean, like, Third Doctor stories would adapt well to film specifically because they are more action oriented, and film, especially these days, kind of needs to be. So maybe. You know, The Idiot's Lantern and The Crimson Horror were both written by Mark Gatiss. I'm aware. Just thought maybe Ada not forgiving her mother at the end was a lot more deliberate. Possibly, but that doesn't make up for the fact that Idiot Lantern still exists and still has the message it does. If Mark Gatiss made the deliberate choice, and I don't know that he did, but if at a later point he made the deliberate choice to do the opposite of the very screwed up thing that he did in The Idiot's Lantern, then that would improve my opinion of him as a writer, recognizing and correcting for issues he'd had. It does nothing about my opinion of The Idiot's Lantern. That episode can burn in hell. I already know the Skrulls from Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, so how different are the MCU Skrulls? Also, I don't care about spoilers. It's not that the Skrulls are different, it's that it's setting up exactly sort of what their status quo is, because they are not, at least as presented in Captain Marvel, they are not active aggressors. They are refugees. They are fleeing from the Kree. So that's sort of the main thing they have got going on right now. Thanks for the response. Happy to respond. Captain Omni, once again, thank you. Fawcett Comics was Captain Marvel. Ah, shoot, that's right. Oh, I knew that too, because like when they ported it over to DC, they had him originate in Fawcett City in one version. I knew that. Ah, nuts. Yeah, Charlton was Peacemaker, Question, Blue Beetle, Nightshade, Captain Atom. Yeah, you're right. Dang it. Ah. I knew that too. I did know that, and I still got it wrong. Too many names to keep straight. Why do I hate The Idiot's Lantern for trying to forgive the abusive father, but like It Takes You Away, which does the same thing? Well, two major differences. Firstly, I haven't praised that specific aspect of It Takes You Away. And one thing that I will note about Idiot's Lantern is it's not just that I find that message revolting, it's that it's a really, really, really bad episode in and of itself already. So it was already bad and then did that. If it was a matter of it was a good episode that did that, I still wouldn't like it, but it wouldn't piss me off quite to the degree of rage that I have for Idiot's Lantern, because it's already bad. It is a bad story with a bad villain, badly told, and then it does that at the end, and it just, I'm already wound up because I don't like it. So that was always going to hit me much harder. Now, keep in mind, I have not rewatched It Takes You Away. So I'm working off slightly faded memories, and it's distinctly possible that when I get to a rewatch, I will assess that somewhat differently. But to my memory, at least, the issues with the father there were not the same can of worms. It was neglect as opposed to active abuse. Now, that is not me saying neglect is okay. It's not. But there is a difference between neglect and active abuse, especially when there is an outside force contributing to the situation that was going on between that guy and his daughter. Again, that's me working off memories. So don't turn this into a thing where you correct me with fine details. I'm sure I'll address it when I eventually rewatch the thing. But the Idiot's Lantern, the man is actively abusive, regardless of the supernatural alien stuff going on. So there, you can't even make an argument of something tipped the scale, something twisted his brain. He was just a twisted human being. And I think comparing that to a guy who was in an extraordinary situation and may have had his mind, frankly, directly twisted, as we kind of saw it impacting Graham, or starting to impact Graham in a similar way, comparing that to somebody who was just a fundamentally, consciously, deliberately, and repeatedly terrible human being with no intervention on anybody else's part, no. That is no. Those are not equivocal. Do I think they should bring back the Amalgam Universe? No, but I would kind of like to see like animated adaptations of the Amalgam Universe. Because the funniest thing to me about that wasn't that it existed. I can talk. It's that it had continuity. Like it was such a stupid gimmick, and it had continuity. If people don't know what I'm talking about, the Amalgam Universe was a thing that DC and Marvel did where they literally would take their most popular characters and mash them together. And so there was a universe of all these hybrid characters, like they mashed together Wolverine and Batman to make Dark Claw. And I think they mashed together like Elektra and Catwoman. I don't even remember all of these. Like there was a lot of them, but it was ongoing for a while, and it had continuity, and it was the stupidest thing in the best way. Like that. A lot of 90s entertainment, particularly 90s comics, are dumb in an infuriating way. But that's the good kind of 90s dumb. That is the kind of dumb that is enjoyable and would not have happened at any other time. And because of the 90s dark and grim grittiness, it took itself way more seriously than it should have. Which, again, just makes it funnier. Why I love the Joker as a villain is because he's such a showman and has made such an impact on Gotham that the person of the Joker may die and the idea of the Joker will endure for eons. Well, that was kind of like at the heart of a lot of what Gotham did with the idea of him. But like, yeah, for me, I'm kind of with you on the showman thing. And that's something that I feel like when the focus becomes on how twisted and just gruesome his crimes are, it loses sight of the showmanship, because there are ways to be showy other than just being Jigsaw, for all intents and purposes. So my preferred version of the Joker is someone who is always trying to make as big a show and as big a splash as possible. And sometimes that means gutting people. Sometimes it means having a giant float with his head on it injected into the middle of a parade. Like, what's going to make the biggest show? It's not always something that's going to get people killed. He just doesn't care if people get killed. That's sort of my preferred overall take on the Joker. Like, as a general guiding philosophy. Showmanship first. Consequences don't matter. Is it going to make a big show? Great, let's do it. Oh, Batman. You really should have a better idea of what to expect from me. Surprisingly enough, Macaulay Culkin is quite good in American Horror Story. I don't find that surprising. I'm not shocked that when he still chooses to act, which is not often, that he's pretty decent. The only Egyptian mythology fact I know is that Horus tricked Sutekh into eating some of his own sexual bodily fluid, which makes Pyramids of Mars much funnier in hindsight. I've been watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've noticed a lot of woke things people complain about in shows or movies today. Am I a bad person? No, but the current conversation and ways that people talk about things that honestly are just storytelling tools and choices has seeped into you watching even things that kind of predate that specific language. That doesn't make you a bad person, but just kind of be aware of how these perspectives shape the viewing experience for you. Just try and keep on top of that. I loved your series ranking. My favorite is series 2. I'll admit Tennant nostalgia plays a part in that. But I actually like all of the episodes. Idiot's Lantern, I have Stockholm Syndrome. I mean, that's, I suppose that's a reason I can't get too on your butt about. Yes, yeah. So Jason asked about Cobra Kai season 4. Meg kind of already answered on this, but like, I'm not gonna say I'm avoiding it unless I'm commissioned for it. I'm just saying that like, it's far enough down the priority list that it's gonna be a little while. I'm not gonna say never, but like, again, keep in mind that it's a show me and Liz watch together. Like, once we finish off and catch up on Legends of Tomorrow, and then maybe after Arcane, maybe we'll try starting it. Or maybe we'll maybe we'll get back to Sense8 and find a reason to kick it down the priority list again. And probably by that point, Stranger Things season 4 will be out. Like that's the thing. I could see it becoming a thing that just, rather than me saying, never going to watch that, it just sits on the low priority list and other stuff keeps coming up ahead of it. Captain Omni, once again, thank you. Thank you very much. Joe Quesada is the actual reason no more DC Comics crossover in comics. Kurt Busiek, who did Jelly Avengers, confirmed Quesada burned that bridge hard. I'm not shocked to hear that. Quesada's a bit of a mixed figure. Oh! Michael Anderson Doyle, Dharma, I missed one of your super chats earlier. I apologize for that. I feel that Unbreakable is one of the best non-comic book movies made, and same goes for Split and Glass. This is a hill I will defend. I like Unbreakable. I like Split with the asterisk on that it dips into a lot of very long-running and harmful tropes around depictions of mental illness. Like, I will absolutely cop to that, and anyone who wants to criticize it on that basis, I will not defend it. I do still like it as a movie. Glass wasn't great, but it was better than a lot of people gave it credit for, and I did at least find it interesting. But it's the one I would feel the least like defending. Peter Dinklage for the next Doctor? Well, he's not from the UK, so he's out on that basis as far as I'm concerned. BBC Sherlock had a great Joker in Moriarty. I said what I said. Fair enough. Are you drinking mushed grape flavored water? If so, what brand? No, actually, I am drinking mushed apple flavored water. Fun fact about me, I'm a big mythology buff. The first exposure to mythology as a whole was, no joke, Yu-Gi-Oh! With an Egyptian mythology. Hey, we've all got our first ins. Favorite sonic screwdriver? No answer, because eventually ranking the sonic screwdrivers is on the eventual to-do list that I still haven't gotten to. So I don't know. I see we have a little simping for Peter Dinklage going on in the chat. I support it. Very specific question. What sound should a TARDIS door make? Like a door. Like, when you say a TARDIS door, do you mean the TARDIS door, as in the Doctor's TARDIS? Because that should just sound like wood on wood. But if you're asking about any other TARDIS, depends on what its chameleon circuit has it disguised as, I suppose. I like a squeaky hinge for the TARDIS. They're remaking the Haunted Mansion starring Lakeith Stanfield and Tiffany Haddish. What are your thoughts? I knew that was happening. I'm very, I really don't think it's an attraction that's going to lend itself to a decent movie. I mean, I suppose you could say that was true of Pirates of the Caribbean as well, but at least Pirates lend themselves to the kind of movie that Disney is willing to make. If you're going to take the kind of story that Haunted Mansion, the premise and the concept of it would lead you to do, and you're not going to lean into the campiness, which is what the previous adaptation did, then you're just going to make a horror movie. And I don't see Disney making a legit horror movie out of one of its family properties. So, like, I don't know what the point is. I saw Belfast today, probably going to be this year's Best Picture winner. I feel like I've heard of that. I don't know, though. Vera, keep an eye on the clock. Oh, yes. Thank you, Carolyn. I should try and wrap up. I do have some more stuff I need to get done tonight, so I don't want to stick too long. John Vinyls, thank you so very much for the super chat. Cyrus was murdered by his brother Sutek, who usurped his throne. Meanwhile, Osiris' wife restored her husband's body, allowing him to posthumously conceive their son Horus. I have questions that I don't have time to ask. Shyamalan has had negative portrayals of mental illness in all 4 of his most recent films. Like, that's probably true. I haven't seen a lot of his most recent stuff, but like, these are long-running tropes that Hollywood has had issues with for a very, very, very long time. And I'm not going to say that lets him off the hook, but I'm not going to presume malice on his part at this point without having seen any of them, strictly because this is an issue with the entire industry. Have I watched You on Netflix? I haven't. Liz watches that. That is one of her trash shows. So she enjoys it and enjoys telling me about it. Time to bring back Sutek? Hey, why not? What's a hill I'm willing to die on? I don't know. There aren't many, honestly. Like, as worked up as I get on things, when I ask myself, is this a hill I'm willing to die on? Generally, if it's anything other than things like sex work is work, trans rights are human rights, bodily autonomy and right to an abortion is a fundamental right, or it should be, things like that, like, for the kinds of stuff I talk about, pop culture stuff, I'm not going to die on any of these hills. I have my feelings. I get very passionate, but ultimately, when I ask myself that question, what hill am I prepared to die on this hill? The answer is almost always no. I like, as worked up as I can get, I'm not confrontational by nature. I had a dream the masculine version of you and the current version of you had a battle to the death over control of Council of Geeks. Oh, he'd get his ass kicked. Did you hear there was originally going to be... I'm just trying to catch up on the chat. Did you hear there's originally going to be a Justice League film that would have released around the same time as, I believe, The Dark Knight, called Justice League Mortal? Yeah, George Miller was going to direct that. Yeah, I know. I'm well aware. I think Armie Hammer was going to be either Superman or Batman. I forget which. Guess we dodged a bullet there. They did a Game of Thrones calendar and put the picture of Dinklage on the shortest month. I shouldn't laugh at that. But I couldn't help it. Do I think the Dune sequel should be made into the movies? I don't know, because I haven't read any of them. So I don't really have an opinion on that. Okay, big question time. Who'd win in an Olympic-style event? Underdog or Snoopy? Who'd win? The character with literal superpowers or the Beagle? What? After seeing Flux, do you think Doctor Who will delve more into alternate realities? I hope not. Isis did what you were thinking, and she used a prosthetic too. Love it. Thoughts on Bed Knobs and Broomsticks? I'm nostalgic for it. It's probably not very good, though. I haven't rewatched it in a long time. Disney did make a horror movie. It's called Something Wicked This Way Comes. Yeah, in 1982. Like, modern Disney's not going to do that. They did it back when they were throwing everything at the wall because everything except for their theme parks was losing money. Haven't watched Hawkeye yet. Is it worth it? I enjoyed it. Okay. Oh, new type JB Lee. One last. This is it. This is the last thing I'm addressing. Is this super chat? Thank you so much. In the X-Men verse, I wish there were more stories on mutants who want to use their powers on non-superhero work like medical care, labor, and education. Yeah. Like, the thing is, when you put the X-Men in film, it's hard to do that because they go for big scale. When they do film, like, that's the kind of thing that happens in the comics because you can have those kinds of side characters in something really long running, and they could do that in a TV show. But the size and scope of film kind of means that that kind of thing doesn't really happen. And even if they tried to, it would just be a tiny side character, a tiny side plot. But anyways, thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, whatever is left for you. Have a good rest of the week. And please remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. Oh, Twitch in the morning, 10:30. Twitch.tv/Council of Geeks. There we go. McCavity!